When filming Now Is Good, when you like filming like the cancer scenes, did you get any emotions in you and feel like, yeah, this really happens in real life?
I think when you're making a film and you're in it, you kind of don't think about anything else but what, your character would be feeling and all of that stuff. So, yeah, certainly there are times, but I think almost to do a good job, you have to kind of put all of that out of your head when you're actually in the moment making the film. And of course, my character is kind of a bit hardened to everything for a lot of the film. So she has a lot underneath, but is kind of, someone described her as a bit prickly. And I like that.
What did you know about ALL before you started filming?
Um, I have to say I didn't know specifically a lot about it, but I have always done a lot of volunteer work at children's hospitals in particular, and had a friend who passed away from leukemia, and so I didn't know specifically like all of the terms and that sort of thing, but I had some personal experience with it for sure.
What did you learn from the film about the cancer?
For me, I didn't do a whole ton of research on it because I wanted the story to be, it's, of course, that's a huge part of the story, but I didn't want that to be all that Tessa was, That was a part of her, but she was kind of trying to leave that behind as much as she could and just do the things she wanted to do as just a young girl, not a young girl with cancer. So, I mean, mostly what I kind of learned was more about people, you know what I mean, as opposed to it specifically.
What was the hardest scene for you to act?
I think honestly the hardest scene to do was when it's kind of towards the end and everyone's kind of there and the people that play my parents, Patty and Olivia, are being really emotional, and Edgar's there, and I have to have my eyes closed, and I'm really upset and like crying, and my pillow was wet at the end of the day. I was like, you're not supposed to be crying, like, it's not what, like, what are you doing? But I couldn't help it, and that was hard. It was hard to keep it in because it was really emotional.
Did any of the film like relate to your teenage years?
Yeah, totally. I think anyone that's that age can relate to imagining what your life is going to be like and things you want to do, and then the really kind of devastating part of the story is that for Tessa, she kind of knows she's not going to ever get to do a lot of those things, and I could really relate to that because I'm a daydreamer, I fantasize about like what my life will be like, and who I'll marry and what my children will be named. I totally do all of that kind of thing, as we all do. So I could really relate to that aspect, and that's what's, kind of broke my heart, was kind of knowing you'll never get there. That was really hard.
Yeah.
What did you learn about living with a terminal illness?
I think I learned that there's no wrong way to cope with it. It's something that really is sad and unfortunate that people, have to deal with, especially young people, because you're supposed to have your whole life ahead of you and be able to do crazy fun things and live and have experiences. But I also learned that it's also kind of provides it provides a really great perspective on life to know that you have to take advantage of every second, and people that are Tessa, for instance, has lived so much more than a lot of people that are really healthy and have their whole life. So it's kind of, there is a slim bright side to it.
How did you nail the English accent?
I worked really hard on it. I really wanted to make sure that it sounded good, and that British people would not think I sounded funny. So I worked a lot on it, and then once you put all the work in, you have to kind of forget about it and just talk and pretend that you're talking normally and not look like you're thinking about it.
What attracted you to the role of Tessa?
I think, well, when I read the script, I really just connected with her in the ways I was saying before, and her struggle and what she's going through, and I think ultimately that's what made me want to do it. But also meeting Ole Parker, who's the writer and the director, he's so amazing and such a cool person, and I wanted to get to know him better, so I really wanted to do the movie. He's so incredible to work with and a really good friend.
Do you think the film will change people's perspectives in society of ALL?
I hope so. I hope that in particular it changes people's perspective on their own lives. I think that's what I love. I think that's what I love about when you make a film. It's able to touch a lot of people, and they're able to take away something that they can put into action in their own life, or help them deal with some sort of experience that they've gone through or someone they know has gone through. That's really a great thing about movies. And also I think it's I think movies are a really great escape for people that are going through hard times in their life, to be able to kind of just focus on something else, and then you can kind of, I hope people make their own life matter the way that my character did in the movie.
And what message do you hope the audience will take away from the film?
I think to just appreciate everything. Everyone says, "Oh, don't take life for granted," and all that stuff, and it's easy to say, but I think when you see a film that's really truly about that, it makes you kind of open your eyes and really realize that. So I hope that that's what people take away.